Welcome to the Magnetize and Monetize Your Market podcast, hosted by the co-founders of the $1 Million Mom Society, Anisa Crespo and Natasha Navarro. This podcast is designed for women who are ready to tap into their inner millionaire mindset, grow thriving businesses, and attract their ideal clients effortlessly with confidence. If you're ready for entrepreneurial success, you're in the right place. So stay tuned and let's build empires together. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Magnetize and Monetize Your Market. I'm one of your co-hosts, Anisa Crespo, and today I am joined by the amazing Ariel Faith. She is not only a dear friend of mine, but she is also known as the visual alignment expert, and we're really excited to have her share her journey with us today. So Ariel, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm excited to dive into everything with you. So, if you don't mind, just share your story a little bit about how you became who you are today and all the things with our audience.
So I have typical, as most people are, the older you get, the longer your story gets, and the more mountains you climb and the more valleys you live in. So you have this wave of life. So I come from, to get the long wave, um, typical family of my era, that I'm an ex-gen. So, we had the workaholics, all of the addictions were very strong in our parents. So we came growing up with all those side effects of all those addictions, whether it be sexual abuse or just neglect or whatever. So I had to, in my 20s, learn. I was looking at my little girl who was 2 or 3 or something like that. And I was starting to see me become my mother. Sorry, mom. And there were certain habits I didn't like and I didn't want to nurture. So, especially like pointing, like that shame generation. Um, and I was like, oh man. So anyway, I was in the middle of a whole bunch of stuff and I had eating disorders and I was emotionally a mess, completely a mess. And I had these two little girls that I needed to raise and I didn't want to do it the way I was taught. So I knew I needed to dig and dig deep. So I went into a treatment center for 30 days for eating disorders, and it pretty much changed my trajectory because I understood the core problems for the first time in my life. So then I could really start to do some of the hard work, painful work. And that led me to um, drafting, design, working for architects and engineers. And I did that for about 30 years, working for high end, did a lot of work in the commercial world, did traditional residential design. That was my specialty towards the end. I'm kind of I'm I'm jumping over the bridge to another world. So now the last 5, 6 years, I've been focusing very much on what was a hobby and then turned into a fine art world, and photography has now come over to the world of branding and helping women. And there's this satisfaction that is just undescribable. And one thing I realized is it didn't matter how many pictures I gave people, if their web designer or their strategy wasn't backed up by those pictures, they didn't get used well, right? They weren't effective. So then I began to dig into how does that work? Because I could see the disconnect, but people didn't. So there that took me to the visual alignment path, where I now can assess from somebody's where they are right this minute, not only from a business standpoint, a marketing standpoint, but also a sales standpoint. Where are they? And then what can we do together to grow and get them where they need to be? So it's kind of a little path. And I love to teach people how to do it and work through it with them rather than just here, take my course and you're on your own. So my program is much more about walking with you through the journey so we can address the issues as they happen rather than here, this is what you got to do and then go do it. Because at least for people like me, we need reinforcement. We need to see and we need to grow. And that takes time, that takes effort. So that's kind of what led me to doing photography, marketing, a little of both.
Yeah, I love that so much. You know, Natasha and I, we had always gone back and forth with this, whether we ever wanted to have like a do-it-yourself style program, because people just don't get the full effect of a program unless you're walking them through it. Like, even if it's not done for you, but it's done with you, like, at least they have that support. And I think that's such a major piece of the puzzle. I think most people, I think the conversion rate of people who actually like complete courses to their fullest online is something like 12%. It's like something extremely low. So I love that you have that passion. And I also commend you for standing up and trying to just break those generational curses. I am the first in my family to attempt to break generational curses, and it's not easy,
Mm-mm.
especially like I grew up with everybody in my family is obese. I grew up with tons of eating disorders, and for me, it was kind of like I see it as child abuse if you're just allowing, a child to eat whatever they want. Like if they want 3 donuts, let them have 3 donuts. That to me is child abuse because they don't know any better. They have no idea what that does to their body and their brain. And that's how I was raised is, let her eat whatever I want. Like, and it's not good. So I find it hard, especially in my house. Like I have my mother-in-law lives with us, so she's still of that older boomer generation. And I'm not a Gen X, I'm not a millennial, but I am what they call an exennial or a zennial, which I kind of have the best of both worlds of. I was born in 84, so I've got the all the good things from the Gen X, which is like, good work ethic and play outside and all that stuff, but I'm also very, technologically advanced, and so I have like the best of both worlds. So I think that's really interesting that you recognize that, and then you kind of bring it with you into your business, and you genuinely want to help people. I can advocate for that 100%. You are an absolute ray of light. It is by no small chance that your last name is Faith. I think that's just so beautiful and powerful. So in your bio, it says dance between what is and what could be. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means in your life and your work?
It's a way of saying that I'm a visionary. So I look at situations from a unique perspective. I don't believe a lot of people have this ability. So I say dance because it's a back and forth, right? You need that partnership in that dance. So it's looking at a situation where it is right now and seeing what the possibilities are, seeing what the growth potential is. A lot of us will look in society and we will see all the flaws and we will see every reason not to move forward. I used to do this in design. So I spent years doing this. So it was you go into a house, they want to renovate it. What is possible? Well, the owners would typically have an idea, but they didn't have the big idea. They didn't know how to make the husband's wants and the wife's wants merge. So in that design process, you come up with a solution that everyone walks away super excited about. So that's kind of been my brain pattern for many, many years in that world. And that allows me now later on in life to look at situations, look at businesses, look at even women very, very differently. I don't see flaws. I see incredible strength and I see what's hiding behind the layers. Or, you buy an old home, as an example, you've got layers and layers of flooring and wallpaper. I see that before when I walk in it. Even it might look like a wreck and people will walk away from it. So I know the potential that exists inside every one of us. And that's what I try to help people pull out and fight against.
That's so beautiful. I love it. So you talk about helping women whose souls have outgrown their photos. What does that moment usually look like, and why is it so powerful?
So there's a point when you hit different the later years of life. It could be in your 40s, it could be in your 50s, it could be in your 60s. Everybody's a little different. There's a point when you're putting out your 20-year-old pictures and you're competing with these influencers and their multi love layers of filters and all kinds of stuff and you're beautiful makeup and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, "Oh my God, where'd I go? I disappeared." So there's a point where you have to start to look at yourself a little differently. You have to be proud of the woman you are, the experience that got you to where you are, the mountains you've climbed. Um, and that's part of that. I might be branding. I know a lot of people use 20-year-old pictures. That's what they put on their card, the business cards. And that's that barrier between I want to be 20. I want to look like I was when I was 28. Well, I'm not 28, so I need to love who I am today. I need to see her and I need to value her. So that's what that means. And through photography, there's an interesting thing that happens, especially with older women. Light is not our friend. Dark shadows, things like that can really make us look much older in a photograph than we do in person. And other factors too. So when you are being photographed for your business and you're a little older and you're working with somebody who understands light and the quality of light and how to show your best on the other side of that lens, then you walk away seeing a different person. You see a woman who's rocking it, and you just go, oh my God, I can still do it. So it's weird that you did all these things. You raised children. I raised 4. My last one is still in the house. And you get to this point where you feel like you're like, what did I spend 30? I spent 40 years raising kids. So what did you spend? Why did I waste all that time? This wasn't a waste. Let me take that back. It wasn't a waste at all. It was a choice you make to take care of your kids. And it's a very good choice. But then you're like, okay, they're all living their own life. And now what do I do? So that thing happens. And it really affects women in business. It affects women more than you imagine. You think, oh, I always thought I'd be super excited when my last one was growing up. But it wasn't the case. So I was surprised, even myself. So anyway, that was a long journey around a bend, but
Well, let's touch on that a little bit. So which this is so admirable, homeschooled 4 children. How does that shape your definition of success?
interestingly, I do not define success by the bank account. How much is in your a 401k or any of that. To me, it's the quality
Absolutely.
that you live at this moment, the day you have. And it's interesting because I have worked at home with my children because I worked full time while they did go to school during some years, but then after when they got to a certain age, we homeschooled. But they learned some very strong business ethics, which I thought was really awesome. But I learned something interesting from 2 of my children when they get honest with you as they get older. There was a component, and I want to share this with the younger moms who are doing it and are, because I know you are. Um, there was a piece that I didn't get until now that I wish I could go back and fix. And that piece is there were times I was very, if I'm in the office, I'm in the office. So I had clear boundaries around space. And there were times when they needed me and I was home, but I was at work. So they do, even though they have great work ethics, they're really beautiful people. They contribute to the world in a great way, all 4 of them. There was a disconnect that I didn't see until it's too late. So I'm sharing that because I know there's a lot of younger moms who are doing this. And if your kid comes in and they're doing something funny, take that 5 minutes. Sit them
Yeah.
on your lap, get out of the office, do whatever you got to do because though once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Let them dance in your room and dance with them.
Yeah. I love that. I came back from my morning walk this morning and I'm like trying to get ready. We're always in a rush, right? So my son's like trying to give me a hug and he's like, Mommy, how come you smell like potatoes? And I'm like, Like these are the moments I live for, like it's just they're so precious and the time just goes by so very quickly. I can't even believe mine are 5 already. I can't imagine when they're like 40, right? Like it's crazy. So yes, I love that message. And something you said that is absolutely critical, and I cannot hammer this home enough. Your self-worth is not equivalent to your net worth. Your self-worth does not equal your net worth. And so many of us, like I live in this world online where, women are doing $1 million days. And it's so easy to get that comparison, you know, why can't I do that? Or, and then you just have to quiet that noise because we're all on our own journey and success looks different for everyone. To
Yes.
me, a huge part of my success is just being able to not have to set an alarm in the morning or being able to be present for my children anytime I want throughout the day. That is a part of my success. It has nothing to do with the revenue or the cash in or any of that. Like that's a byproduct of the success, that the things that truly make us happy. So I just wanted to really touch on that a little bit because it's so important. I'm really glad that you brought it up. So, one of your signature phrases is perfect is invisible, but real is unforgettable. And I absolutely love this because we're all about authenticity. So, how can the mompreneurs in our audience use that principle to connect more deeply with their audience?
So when a lot of us that are overachievers tend to be perfectionists and we tend to, want to do everything perfectly. But if you notice, we're getting bombarded with so much information. I mean, we're in a society of just too much everything, right? Too much email, too much. It's almost like we're like, can you stop and let me just smell the roses, right?
Yeah.
So when we have that sense of drive, especially women, because we tend to be real, we give our heart to projects, right? We don't just go to work and do our job and go home. We give everything, at least most of us. And in that process, especially if you need to brand yourself, this is where it really comes into play. If you are the center of your business, and you are a great example of a person who is well branded. When you need to brand who you are and your values and you want to draw the right clients, if you take that, I'm only going to go online if I look perfect. And it doesn't mean you should show up, just waking up at 5 in the morning and you just had a big fight with your husband. There's a balance in there, right? You don't want to get online and start crying about something that happened. That's not all. It is authentic, but it's not the place, right? It's not the place to share that. It's that you call your girlfriend for that. You know what I mean? But and I think a lot of people get confused with that. At least since some of the things I've seen, they think they have to be authentic. They have to show up like without makeup and all those other components. To me, it's like show up like you go to work. And some days, I'm going to be honest, I'm in more of a leisurely day today. So that's what you get today, is a leisurely lady. And then other days I'll be all suited up and, all that kind of stuff, depending on what I'm doing. But the point of that is when you show up as you, people know it. They don't know why. They may not be able to analyze it, but they feel it. So that showing up as you are, although imperfect, you might stutter a little when you talk or pause too long or whatever. That's real. Those are real moments. And the more AI becomes a thing, the more people use it, the more we keep hearing the same words over and over again, the more tired we are of them. And the more real we are, and the more we teach AI to be real for us, which is a whole process in itself, the more our content can be done quicker, but authentic. So that authenticity is what draws people to you.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think a lot of people, kind of get confused with the whole AI and the chat GPT and everything. Like I've been training my chat GPT for years so it can speak like me. And I think it's so important to separate, using AI to come up with your intellectual property versus using AI to just organize your thoughts. Because that's what I use it for. I just use it for a tool. If I'm getting like a download at 3 a.m., I just want to punch it into ChatGPT and say, okay, like organize this for me. And that's what it's used for. But not to be inauthentic at all. Like there's a fine line between that, and it's important to kind of recognize that. So I'm glad you shared that. So I want to ask you if you can share a powerful mirror moment story from one of your clients or even your own life where stepping into visual alignment has created a major shift.
Well, as a brand photographer, one of the hardest and most challenging things is to stand behind another brand photographer and get your own shoot done. It's very easy to be holding the camera, but it's very different to put yourself on the other side. And it's extremely important to put yourself on the other side, because if you don't know the anxiousness and the natural emotions that happen when you're being photographed, you won't have the compassion and the signals that you need to look for. So for me, getting my own brand shoot was actually a very, very big mirror moment. And it wasn't about, to me, that it was me. I know it was edited, so I was okay with that, just slightly. And I know I look a little skinnier than I did at the time. So, did I mind? No, not really, because I keep trying to get to that skinnier woman, but she's hiding right now.
We're all after her.
I know. Mine's in there. She's just hiding. I just gotta make her safe again and she'll be fine. But what was the point of that? Oh, so the mirror moment. So, you're trying something new. Here I am shifting 30-year career. That's scary as heck because you have no idea whether you're going to fall on your face or whether you're going to fly. And we all know that business takes time. It is an investment, and it is definitely a long game. If you think you can make all the money you need in the first year, you're probably going to be disappointed, and you're probably getting back to work by the end of that year. But if you understand how it works, the marketing you're doing today may pay off 6 months from now. When you get that cycle, you know that it's a long game. So when I switched over to this, my first focus was the branding photography in particular. When I switched over from, I still do residential design, but just a little. When I took that turn or went across that bridge, all of those little kid fears were like gigantic. But, it's like, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. And I knew why it was worth it, because the impact you have on other people, other women, was incredible. Never seen anything like it before. I didn't even believe it until I saw it. And for me, that mirror moment was being able to look at yourself. And I'm walking right behind the 60 number. So I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. So you are looking at this knowing everything is downhill. It's a sad reality, but at some point in life, you realize that every year it's going to get worse. Something's going to happen. It's going to get worse. And I also suffer from skin cancer. So I have to deal with constant issues, giant boo-boos on myself. So it's like, oh, this is so fun. So you have to say to yourself, okay, am I going to let all that stop me? Am I going to let all of that change the fact that I can help women feel good about themselves? Or am I going to start to feel good about myself despite the flaws? So that's that moment when you look at yourself and you go, you know what? You're not perfect, but you are enough and you are beautiful and I love you. And that's looking at yourself and genuinely feeling it, not just saying an affirmation to make your coach feel better, but to really believe that. And I have to share, because we share a love for God. So I have to share that a very critical point in my life was understanding his view of women. I spent probably 2 years studying the women in the Bible. And they're very short stories. There aren't very many of them. There are. I mean, they are when you start looking. And why is this story in here? I started to really dig into the mindset of that. And repeatedly, I saw a message that was, I see you and I love you. So all of the injustice that women face across the country, across the world, the weave of those pages, the message to us is very clear. The men may be doing their thing, which isn't always very nice. Sometimes, I mean, there are great guys out there, don't get me wrong, but all of that stuff, he says, I see you, which means he sees me and he sees you and everyone listening to this. And that's pretty powerful when you really start to believe that. And I literally 2 years I went, but that value shift of, looking for external value and needing it from other people, when you shift that to yourself, it's no one can take it away, right? It's there and it's real and it's precious.
It sure is. It sure is. And I think when you start to value yourself, other people start to see the value in you. There's like a story about lobster and how, I don't know how long ago, but lobster used to be like a poor man's food. And
It is in
when,
Haiti.
yeah, and when we started to change it to something that we value, the price went up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, it's whatever it is, right? Like you don't need to market like a Louis Vuitton luggage because we know the value of it because people put the value on it, right?
Right.
And if we say this is my value and this is how I value myself, and we start exuding that and putting that out in the universe and the world, people are going to start to say, wow, like she's valuable. I want to be in her world. And it is like a mirror image. Like I believe we all, the way we see ourselves and like everybody in our world is just this big mirror image. And I love that so much. So you are the host of the You Matter in Business podcast. What has surprised you the most about the women that you've interviewed, and what message do you hope to leave your listeners with?
I started podcasting about 3 years ago, and I started with one called The Creative Warriors. And it was for photographers in particular, because I noticed women in photography, because it's a very male dominated field. I noticed they struggled with things that shocked me. I mean, women who were in their 50s, 60s, incredibly talented, would look at their work and go, I don't know, is it good enough? They would just question everything. So I started to kind of see this over and over and over again. So I brought in, at the time, I did interviews of different photographers that were very successful. And we talked about that. How do you overcome those things? How do you get beyond that? What are some tips? So that was how I started. And then about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I realized that it wasn't just photographers that are women. It was all women. And I saw this in my networking groups, and it was the amount of self, how do you say that word? Deprecation?
Mm-hmm.
It's not coming out of my mouth, but the amount that we put ourselves down is immense in our society. And the amount that people, as a joke, put other people down is also immense. And that is not building a happy place to live, right? So the podcast itself it started with a co-host. She was a life coach. And we did a few episodes together, and then we would bring on a guest. And our message was basically, you are the center of your business. You personally matter, not just in your business, but in your life. And how do you blend these two, the needs to work or the need to, that for a lot of people, it is a need. For some people, it's a desire. It's a give back. But how do you just balance that with raising children? How do you balance that with the demands of the office? How do you balance that with clients that call you at 8 o'clock at night and yell at you, or all the other things that being a business owner puts on us? So that's really what we talk about. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We talked about mindset, imposter syndrome, all of the challenges, the things that hit us the most, And we also talked about how those things impact our marketing, how they impact how we talk about our business, how we feel comfortable. A lot of women have a real big struggle with sales. And I'm one of them. I hate sales. I don't like selling. I don't like asking for money. But there's value, right? So if I don't have that value and I don't see that value, I'm not going to communicate that. And there's a way to market that it doesn't feel like you sold them on something. You're just like, hey, I can help you. Let's do it. And they jump on. You know this experience well, I believe. It it's all about that. So in my podcast, I'm trying to help women, one, see that they matter personally, help them overcome some of those inner issues. I'm not a therapist. We just talk about them. I get real. I just did one interviewed a woman who it actually helped me more than I think it might have helped other people. But she was a woman who does basically nutrition coaching. It's not really nutrition, but it's more the mindset around food, because she works with a lot of people who would be overeaters in her world, right? And through her own life experience and learning how poison food is in today's world, and how we have to take control of our own health and all these kind of things. So she works through some of the mindsets of why we stay larger than we want, and so that's real stuff, because we're eating disorders is what we were talking about, but she didn't want to call it that because she said it's a thinking disorder.
Mm, sure is.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of these experiences, I have a whole bunch of cool people I'm going to interview in the next couple of years. I mean, I've got quite a few out there, and I'm hoping to interview you actually.
Yes, I'm
Um,
excited.
um, it's I come with very strategic questions for the expertise of the woman, depending on what field she's coming from and what angle she's coming from. Because every one of us together, we can share and help each other grow. So it's not a competition. It's definitely come, let's talk, let's get into some deep stuff. You don't have to share if you don't want to. It's that kind of an experience. So it's more like a having coffee with Ariel kind of a podcast, at least in my desires. I hope feel people feel that way.
Yes, I love that. And I'm happy to be a guest. I can't wait. It sounds like a lot of fun. And I like my podcast to be the same way. I'm like, this will just kind of be like two girlfriends chit-chatting. Like, let's just get our messages out into the world and see where it goes, bounce ideas off each other. And I love that. So if anybody wants to work with you on any capacity, whether that's, through your visual alignment or through your photography or, just in their search for the Lord, how is the best, what is the best way to get in touch with you? Like what platforms are you on? How do they reach out to you?
I'm mostly focusing on LinkedIn right now. So that's where I personally am digging. That's where I am personally. I do post to the other platforms. I do have a group on Facebook that I just reignited based on some incredibly wise women that I listened to recently. Um, we all know who that is. The $1 Million Mom Society. Anyway, they had some great points about community and lead generation through Facebook that it never even crossed my mind, because I'm not a Facebook fan. But anyway, long story short, the LinkedIn is one place where you can find me. I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook. But if you want to get a hold of me, the best way to do it is to go to the website and then literally just either fill out a contact form. My number is on there. My email is on there. I'm not hard to get. Um, Probably better to text, because we all have these filters on our phones that if we don't know the number, because we get 100 calls from Google
Yeah, I know.
a
Your
day.
business is not listed.
Yes.
So funny. So we're going to put the website and all the links in the show notes, but just tell them what the website is in case they're driving.
Okay, so it is arieljoyfaith.com.
Ariel Joy Faith. Isn't that
Yeah.
an amazing name, ladies? Isn't it amazing? I love it. I love it so much. All right. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing a little bit of yourself and your God-given gifts and talents with our audience. We so appreciate you. And if you could leave our audience with just one message, what would it be?
You are beautiful.
Yes, you are. I love it. Ariel, thank you so much. For all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. As always, like, subscribe, share this message with a friend who needs to hear Ariel's message, and go get in touch with her. She's amazing.
Thank you.